With part 1 of the Stairway to Heaven guitar lesson, we'll focus on learning all of the fingerstyle sections of the song, and that includes the classic opening intro. So by the end of this lesson, you'll have a complete fingerstyle arrangement that you can perform, and we'll cover each section with a step-by-step approach. For the Stairway intro, we're going to apply basic fingerstyle technique, and what that means is we align and assign certain fingers to pluck certain strings. The one finger will always pluck the third string. The second, middle finger, will always pluck the 2 string. Third finger plucks the top 1 string. Meanwhile, the thumb will play either the 4th, 5th, or 6th strings based on which chord is being played. And we're going to apply basic fingerstyle technique throughout the complete intro, as well as through most of the other fingerstyle sections, with a few exceptions. But let's get going with the first chord, and that's going to be an A minor chord along the 5th fret position. The fingerstyle pattern will be simply ascending up the 4 strings like so. Very important as you're starting to learn this is to get clarity out of each note. And then once you know how to play the notes, you count it, because each section is pretty much counted in 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4. With the first chord change, we drop the bass note or lower the bass note to the middle finger now on the 6th fret. Meanwhile, that third finger will shift to the top string, 7th fret. This is the second chord shape, and the fingerstyle pattern will change. It's going to start with a pinch, and what I mean by that is we're going to simultaneously pluck the 4th and the 1st strings together. And again, this section will be counted in 4s. That's the 1 count. I'm going to call off those strings for the remaining 3. So we have the pinch, and then 2, 3, 1. I'll do that again. Pinch, 2, 3, 1. And that's the second section, second chord. So let's put together the first 2 sections, first 2 chords. Here we go from the top. And with that, we go now to the third chord, which is a C/G chord shape. One note on those first 3 chords, the first finger is aligned along the 5th fret position. You want to keep your fretting hand steady and in position. Makes the changes a little easier. So chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, C, G, we shift the first finger to the 4th string, and that pinky finger extends 3 frets higher to the 8th fret. Same fingerstyle pattern as the previous chord. So pinch, 2, 3, 1 on the C/G chord. Again, let's back to the beginning. Put together the 3 chords. 1, 2, ready, go. Now we go to what I think is the trickiest chord transition in the whole song, to the D/F sharp chord. And the trick, or the key, is that first finger along the 5th fret position now shifts to the 2nd fret position. And then we sort of tap down those 2 fingers for the D/F sharp chord. Same fingerstyle pattern as the previous 2. Pinch, 2, 3, 1. So let's put that together from the beginning now. 1, 2, ready, go. Now we have an easy transition. We go to F major 7th, simply lining your fingers sort of in a diagonal line with the top string open. Little variation on the fingerstyle pattern. It'll be pinch, 2, 3, 2. And then we're going to stay on F major 7th for another measure. So we have the pinch, 2, 3, 2. Then we pause for 1 count, and then simply go down the string starting from the top. 1, 2, 3. So pause, and then 3 more. Again, let's get a foundation. We'll put it together from the beginning. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. then from there we go to the last section. The middle finger shifts to the 5th string, 2nd fret. That's our new bass note. And then we're going to pinch a chord. And what I mean by that is the thumb will pluck the bass note, the 5th string. Meanwhile, the 1 and 2 fingers are going to pluck the 3 and 2 strings open. That's a G/B chord. And then the middle finger will shift to the 4th string. Let me correct that. The middle finger shifts to the 3rd string while the 1st finger shifts to the 2nd string 1st fret. And this is an implied A minor chord. We're going to pluck the same 3 strings together. So that section from G to A minor, dun, dun, dun. One key on this, keep everything equal volume. You want the bass notes to be just as loud as the melody notes to have it sound good. Now let's put together all of line 1 of section 1. Here we go from the top. 1, 2, ready, go. At the end of line 1, we play a 3-note lead-in to line 2. And the lead-in is relatively easy to play, but you have to use the correct finger numbers because what follows is a pretty tricky chord transition. So that 3-note riff, what you do is you're going to slide to the 8th fret with the 3rd finger, maybe a 1 or 2 fret slide. So starting off with it open, then the slide to 8, and then the middle 2nd finger will fret the 7th fret. Dun, dun, dun. And then what follows is the beginning of line 2, which will pretty much follow the same progression as line 1, except we do a substitution for the A minor chord. And that's going to be this. Instead of, you might recall in the beginning, we played the top 4 strings. Well, for line 2, we're going to instead play the middle 4 strings. And that transition, when you play that lead-in, it's a lot trickier than it looks because you want to get that sustain going while the chord is being played. And the trick to this is to focus on the 3rd finger. Number 1, use the correct fingers, but then you focus on the 3rd finger and you get that down on the 4th string 7th fret. And while you're doing that, you get ready to play that chord. So you focus on that 3rd finger, and it makes it a little bit easier to get that transition right. Now you may have noticed I kind of dragged my thumb across those middle 4 strings. Now if you are comfortable applying standard fingerstyle technique to that particular chord voicing right now for A minor, that's fine. But I tend to cheat a little bit, and that's fine because we want to get clear notes on this arpeggio. And for me, kind of works just using the thumb all the way across. Another option is to shift your 3 fingers down. So as long as you get clarity, all 3 of those options, standard fingerstyle technique, dragging the thumb across, or shifting the 3 fingers, whatever helps you get the clarity, I would suggest to go for that. And then the good news is, once you get this transition down, then you're simply repeating the remainder of line 2. It's the same as line 1. So next we'll play all of section 1 by connecting lines 1 and 2 together, and we'll do a slow walkthrough. So here we go from the top. 1, 2, ready, go. Section 2 begins with a 2-note riff, 0-2 on the 5th string, and then we connect that to the opening arpeggio, which will be C. And the fingerstyle pattern, we're going to count it in 4s. We skip the 2nd string. 5, 4, 3, 1 for the C chord. If you want, you can shift I tend to shift my 1, 2, and 3 fingers down, and instead of the thumb for the 5th and the 4th, I use my 1st finger. So I pluck the bass and then actually finger pick the remaining strings. Basic fingerstyle technique, again, works great. That's just a suggestion if you're more comfortable doing that. But let's put that together with the lead-in. 0, 2, and then the C. And then we go to D, and we're going to apply the same fingerstyle pattern as in section 1, which will be pinch, 2, 3, 1. Then F major 7th, same fingerstyle pattern. And then we go to an A minor chord. You think A minor, but you're going to lift the 1st finger and do a hammer, but you're pinching the 5th string as well. You're playing the bass. So 2 strings simultaneously on that hammer, 0, 1, and then the 3rd string right after that. So let's put this all together from the top. The C, well, the lead-in, C, D, F major 7th, and A minor. Here we go from the top. 1, 2, ready, go. Then we have another lead-in to C again, 0, 2, but this time when we go to C, we're going to pinch the 5 and 2 strings together. Again, I'm going to cheat a little with the fingers on this. What that is pinch and then calling off the strings, 3, 4, 2. Then we go to a G chord, and we're going to apply pretty much the same fingerstyle technique as the C. It's going to be a pinch, but this time with the top and bottom strings, and then we shift the fingerstyle pattern to the top 3 strings. So it's a good idea to connect the C chord prior to the G. We'll put C and G together right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we end with a D sus4. It's a D chord with the pinky down on the top string, 3rd fret. Again, we're going to pinch the bass, and we're going to pull off on that top string from 3 to 2. And then kind of brush those top 2 strings on the D chord shape. On the original recording, that pull off, that note really sort of stands out, almost drowns out the notes after it. With that, let's put together all of line 1, starting with the lead-in. 1, 2, ready, go. Then for line 2, pretty much starts all over again, same lead-in. So we repeat everything to get as we start line 2. Lead-in, made a little mistake there. But the difference will be in the last 3 measures. Instead of pinching the C chord, we're just going to arpeggiate the middle 4 strings. We're just going to walk up those 4 strings. Then we go to D and do the same thing on the top 4 strings. And then we end with sort of pinching a chord shape, the F major 7th. This time the thumb will be on the bass note, the 4th string, and the top 2 strings are going to pluck together. So we're plucking 3 strings simultaneously for that F major 7th section. I'm going to back it up with the variation we do on line 2. I'm going to start with the C chord. So we're going to do the last 3 measures. C, D, F major 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now let's put together all of section 2 from the top, lines 1 and 2. 1, 2, ready, go. Combining sections 1 and 2 will complete the song's intro before the vocals begin with the verse sections. And throughout the opening verses, you'll pretty much be playing lines from sections 1 and 2, but with some slight variations. So let's go over those variations with each line, starting with the opening line. There's a lady who's sure. You're going to play line 1 from section 1. You'll go through everything, and except the difference will be there'll be no lead-in at the end of line 1. We'll simply end with the 2 chords. For the next line of lyrics, when she gets there she knows, you'll repeat line 1 again. This time, at the end of the line, we will add a lead-in, the 0-2 lead-in to section 2. And section 2 will follow those first 2 lines. So essentially you play line 1 twice, and then lead into section 2, and that'll sync up. Sync up the words here in a second. Buying a stairway to heaven. And then you'll continue with line 2 of section 2, but there'll be a slight variation, and this syncs up with the there's a sign on the wall lyrics. And here's the variation. There's going to be, for the CD transition, you're going to do a pinch on the C chord and a pinch on the D chord, and that'll end with the F major 7th, and that'll lead into repeating line 1 again, which syncs up with the In a Tree by the Brook lyrics. You'll play line 1 from section 1, and that will end with the lead-in that we did to start off the song. That will lead into section 3. Section 3 will follow the same progression as section 1, but we're going to throw in some variations on the fingerstyle pattern. We're also going to do something different with the opening A minor chord for the 3rd time. With the opening A minor shape, we played the top 4 strings. Then we did the substitution with the middle 4 for A minor. For section 3, we're going to arpeggiate it different. We're going to skip the 2 strings. So the sequence for the opening A minor chord on section 3 will be 5, 4, 3, 1. So let's connect that to the lead-in to section 3. Then as we go to the second chord shape, we have this new fingerstyle pattern. It's going to be, to start on this chord shape, you count, maybe an 8 count will help on this. We'll start with the pinch, and then if I call off the strings first, pinch, 2, 3, 2, and then when you count it, once you know the strings to play, you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll be followed by just descending down the strings for another 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So going back to the pinch, we'll do all 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then as we shift to the C/G chord shape, slight variation, but this is easier. It's easier than it looks. We're simply going to walk up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That's how I would suggest to count it. Just walking up and down the strings. Same thing with the next chord shape, with the D/F sharp. And then we go to F major 7th. Now in this case, with the F major 7th, we're going to play it for 2 measures. One little note, the first time you play the top string on the original recording, you hear a little more emphasis on it than the second time. You just you don't emphasize that top string as much, and then we'll end it the same. So let's review all of section 3. We'll play it at a slightly slower tempo, and we'll also include the lead-in to section 3 to start. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. Once you have all of the fingerstyle sections memorized, the final step with this lesson is to put it all together into a fingerstyle arrangement. And with this arrangement, you'll have a fingerstyle piece you can perform, as well as a foundation to learn the rest of the song with the remaining Stairway to Heaven guitar lesson videos.